Welcome to I Love My HBCU ? The podcast where we express our undeniable love for HBCUs, but where we are also not afraid to address a few tough questions. So, sit back, learn a little, love a lot, and rep your HBCU. Hello, beautiful humans. It is yours truly, Tosin Richard, with I Love My HBCU ? And I have an amazing budding entrepreneur with me, Chelsea Mendes. Say hello, please.
Hello.
Chelsea, you are a student where?
Spelman College.
So I ran into Chelsea is one of the most amazing Spelmanites that I've met. Sure, I haven't met too many. I've met a few though. And Chelsea, you and I ran into each other not too long ago. And when Chelsea recognized me, I honestly was like, who is she talking to? For 2 seconds, I was like, who exactly are you talking to? Thank you for saying hello when you saw me. I really appreciate it because I really am that introvert that forgets that she has a podcast. And then I go into my own shell when I'm out in the world. So when people tell me, aren't you the person behind? I'm like, what are they talking about? Something's wrong with me, Chelsea.
It's okay.
But Chelsea, I don't get to see a lot of students. Typically, I've been going to South by Southwest now for a number of years. And typically when I go, I don't get to run into a number of students there. So when I saw you there, I was excited that I saw a student there. And so I'm curious, number one, what inspired you to go to South by? But number two, which I think is a bigger one, is what are your big takeaways? What are like 2 or 3 big takeaways that you got from going? And before you respond, for those who don't know what South by Southwest is, it is, and I'm going to try to get this right, it is the largest interactive music, film, and tech conference / festival in the world, according to them. Take it away, Chelsea.
Yes, she's like, according to them. Yes. So, well, again, thank you for having me here, first and foremost.
Absolutely.
And to answer your first question, what inspired me to attend? Yes, it was. I feel like it was less of inspiring and more so the opportunity that just presented itself. So I'm a scholar with the Center for Black Entrepreneurship at Spelman. It's a program at both Spelman and Morehouse College, but they offer students a bunch of career accelerating opportunities to participate in on top of financial aid throughout the duration of an academic year. And so I think about 2 weeks prior to spring break, they're like, okay, we have 8 slots for South by Southwest. You can go to Austin. It's an entirely covered trip, and so so sign up. And I was like, oh yes, travel, spring break, networking, yes. So we went, and it absolutely met the reputation that they have of being the greatest and the biggest festival and conference, truly. But I would say my 2 biggest takeaways would be doing things scared and having a community to undergird you. So to just elaborate on the first, I came to the conference knowing that I wanted to meet Keith Lee because I wanted to invite him to my Intellectual Property Symposium next month. And so I had gone to this session, not really thinking anything. I was like, after the event, I'll probably just go up to him. But near the end of the event, instead of answering more questions from the audience, he was like, no, I want to ask somebody in the audience a question. I said, oh, okay. And so I just shot my hand up. And so he was able to ask me a question. I was able to introduce my brand and the symposium and network with his manager. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was reserved or just sat there and didn't, push myself out of my comfort zone. And then the second one, of course,
congratulations. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I was nervous. But the second, it's just the importance of having a community to undergird you, because all of my Spelman sisters that were present, all my Morehouse brothers that were present, videotaped it. I was able to share it, to my platform, and engage with even more people who align with its mission. And so it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
That's amazing. And so the reason why I wanted to get what your takeaways were, I think most of us who are, what do you call us? Most of us that are professionals in different spaces are going there with heavy networking in
Mhm.
mind, at
Right.
least at the interactive side of the festival. I know some are there for the music, film, and TV, but I
Mhm.
that wasn't me.
Right.
And I think you have to have students attend things like that. And I'm glad you didn't even know what it was before going, so that you had no preconceived notions whatsoever and you
Yes.
just jumped in. There
Right.
is a lot for everyone there. And I think more and more students should find themselves in those spaces where
Absolutely.
opportunities like the one that you just
Yeah.
got, and networking occurs a tad bit less structured.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping more students hear this and they're like, I'm going to try to get my school because it's expensive. I'm going to
Oof.
try to get my school to sponsor me for it
Yeah.
next year. And South by
Yes.
did not pay for this ad. I'm literally just saying I
All right.
think it is a good opportunity. Um,
Mhm.
you've had a couple of platforms and you have one that you're working on now. But
Yes.
if you don't mind me taking you a little back to high school for a hot second,
Sure.
because I read about your inspiration behind your podcast at the time, Mental
Mhm.
Breakdown.
Mhm.
Um, what inspired Mental Breakdown?
Yes. It's been a minute since I spoke about this, but what inspired it? Well, largely it was the murder of George Floyd in December 2020. And of course, that shook the nation. I know for a fact that it shook my community. And so I was just, I guess, doing a little bit more research on really how it was impacting our community's mental health at the time.
Mm, mm,
And largely I was drawn to that just because my family has always prioritized that sort of thing, and self-care especially. And so I was just like, let me just collect a little information about this. And the data was heart-wrenching because it was just the statistics related to heightened anxiety and heightened depression related to that event. I was just like, something has to be done about this. And so not the symposium, the podcast came about just so that I could shed light on those statistics as well as ways for my community to cope during that time, specifically young adults. Because we put a lot of emphasis on the adults, which I understand y'all go through. Life is hard. Life. I understand.
mm.
But for teenagers, after a while, it's like, okay, we're here on this earth, but to constantly see back to back to back our brothers and sisters going through this sort of thing is it's disappointing. And so that's what the podcast discussed, with like a variety of professionals, from like therapists to mental health professionals, to professors, to just talk about it from like different perspectives. But it was definitely something that I enjoyed.
Thank you for doing that. And the reason why I'm saying thank you for doing that, you said something that struck a chord for me when you said, adults go through their stuff, lives, but this was for teenagers. Um, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not of your generation.
Mhm.
You are younger. um, when I take a look at your generation, and I know every generation will claim that they had it hard. And yes, there are hard things that happen in every single generation.
Right.
But when I look at your generation, I sincerely believe that your generation has had to develop a muscle whereby the rest of the world expects you to just get over everything like this.
Mm-hmm.
um so your resiliency, I when I describe your generation, I say this is a resilient generation,
Mm-hmm.
because you have a lot of traumatic in inducing things that are happening around you, but you must still get up and go to school. And again, we're talking about, at that time, we're talking about teenagers,
Right.
high schoolers. You must still get up and go to school. You must still go play with your brothers and sisters. You must still help mom and dad where mom and dad need the help. You must
Right.
still do, and the list goes on. And I know adults had to do that too, but adults have learned to compartmentalize in
Exactly.
certain
Right.
ways.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for I believe, especially in your teenage years, you haven't yet really developed the muscle to compartmentalize as well. That I'm
Mm-hmm.
surprised more and more people weren't just spilling over with emotion
Right.
constantly. So
Mm-hmm.
the fact that you thought the best thing for me to do is to create a platform whereby we get to actually talk about this stuff and get us all through this.
Yes.
I almost want to ask, what kind of brain does a high schooler have to have whereby that's
Yes.
your response?
Hmm. Well, I would just say I'm the daughter of two social entrepreneurs. And so that plays a very, very, very
Absolutely.
large role. Social
Absolutely.
entrepreneurs slash self-employed artists. And so it's
Wow.
just
Okay.
that sort of innovative approach to issues that you and or your community face is just something I feel like comes naturally.
Yeah.
Um, and so I would see growing up, I would see them do those sorts of things. Like if, oh my goodness, I was, which I'll go personal for a second, but I was diagnosed with epilepsy at a very young age. And so, for the longest time, there was like a stigma surrounding that. Like I never spoke about it. My
Absolutely.
parents never spoke about it outside of like our doctor's appointments. But then once I started doing my research and started like initiating those conversations with my parents, they hosted an event in our hometown of Orlando to honor the legacy of, because again, they're musicians, but to honor the legacy of Prince, who actually has epilepsy or had epilepsy as well. So it's just that sort, just to draw that parallel between like that sort of approach to, either learning new information or like making sure that other people are exposed to, the inner workings of certain issues. That's just, I guess, that's just how I, how I go about
Chelsea,
things.
listen, I appreciate it. And the reason why I'm going to keep on saying I appreciate it, there are enough of us in this world that would have gone or had the same experience, and that would not have been our response regardless. So I applaud those who their response to these types of things happening around them isn't to just sit there or isn't
Mm-hmm.
to just go about their way, but to find a way to make sure it informs, it helps, it heals more than just them. So
Yes.
I think it's just who you are. So I look forward to watching all of the different things that you do in life that impacts more than just you, but impacts a much larger community. Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
switch gears a little bit. And I want to throw our rapid fire segment at you. You knew that was coming. So
Oh, oh.
she's like, oh, why does everyone get nervous? And they know it's
Rapid
coming.
fire?
Yes, absolutely. hmm hmm You're going to kill this. I love it. You're going to kill this. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Chelsea, describe yourself in 3 words.
Okay. Okay. Creative, discerning, and hmm. Creative, discerning. I was ambitious.
I love all three. My favorite one is discerning because it's the first time it's been used. So that's my favorite one.
Hmm.
You are graduating soon. They've already selected your commencement speaker. However, if you got to select the commencement speaker, who would you have picked?
Hmm. Oh, that's good. Oof. 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 I know this is rapid fire. Oh gosh. Like, um. Oh my goodness. You know what? Since I met her at South by Southwest, Elaine Welteroth. I love her.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
nice.
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
good
Yes.
one. Elaine Mentroth is a really good one.
Mhm.
What's your unpopular opinion about HBCUs?
Don't get me in trouble. Wait, actually, no. I have okay. Fizz must be banned. I'm sorry. You know what?
Fizz must
Yes.
be banned. We're going to get into that after the rapid fire. Okay, she just told me that. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Shout out your favorite professor.
Ooh, ooh. Dr. Brown, Dr. Robert Brown. I love you.
Dr. Robert Brown. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, I've just been told that my time is up on the rapid fire, but I always ask one more question,
Yes.
and I think this is a good one for a graduating senior.
Okay. Okay.
So, you're graduating. You're going to enter the ranks of alum very soon. What's your parting message for the
Oh.
president of your college?
Mmm. Oh, that's good. For the that's wow. Okay. How is this rapid fire? It's what in the world?
It's over now, so I just got to ask you one more question.
Oh
So you can give your
my,
comprehensive answer.
because she's interim. Like she's
She
only
is.
been but you know what? Okay. Okay. I would still thank her for fostering um this sisterhood at Spelman.
Mm, mm,
Um, because although it's something that characterizes Spelman, the leadership is plays or rather plays a large role in actually having it come to be and manifest.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
and so for me to still feel like supported in every aspect up and down the hierarchy, from the professors to the admin to the staff to the people in the cafeteria to even my own sisters, like that says a lot. That's a testament to her hard work, and so I thank her for that.
Absolutely.
I thank her for that.
I'll take that and I'll take it a little further if you don't
Okay.
mind.
No, 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 no,
So the reason why, and I don't know her, I do not know her,
no. Mm-hmm.
but I don't think enough credit is given to persons who have to step into a position in the interim phase and
Mm-hmm.
still keep things
Yeah.
and still keep the continuity of the college, the brand, the
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah.
And if she ever gets to hear this, that would be my kudos to her. It takes a lot to be the interim because it is almost impossible for people not to be comparing you to what just was.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same breath, people not knowing how to really receive you, knowing you may not necessarily be there long enough to make lasting change. So to
Mm-hmm.
me, an interim position is one of the most important positions there is because
Mm.
it's too much in flux depending on how you take it.
Yes.
Chelsea, you said something during your rapid fire response that might get you in trouble
Oh.
with your fellow collegians. Now you know what it is. Now you know what it is. She's like,
Yeah.
but I want to know why you are suggesting this is your unpopular opinion that fizz should be banned. As somebody who cannot get on fizz, nor do I want to, by the
Please,
way,
it's no need.
I do not want to. But tell me why. I want to know why.
Beep. Because, oh Lord, where do I begin? It's like, but it's just so unhealthy. Like,
Wow.
of course, most social media, it has its tendencies to do that, but you just take it in moderation. Fizz is a problem because it's anonymous and people get very ballsy when they are
Wow.
behind, not only behind a screen, but they can't put their own name to what they
Anonymous.
say. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And so it's been my own experiences with Fizz, like especially during election season, being posted on there and spoken about in a certain manner, and then hearing and seeing some of my peers be talked about in a certain light that's
Yeah.
contrary to who they are, both at
Yeah.
my HBCU and outside of it. It's terrible. And that if you don't know how to cope with that in a healthy way, like you don't have a community to lean on or whatever the case may be,
Absolutely.
that could be very, very detrimental. So I'm anti. I'm anti.
Before we get off of the fizz conversation,
Mm-hmm.
because the minute you said that and you started giving an example, unfortunately, what came to mind is an example of a reputation dragging is the best way to
Yeah.
put it. That a former student of mine went through on Fizz. Do you think it would be different if it wasn't anonymous? Do you think people would be less bold? So is it a matter of getting rid of it entirely?
Mm.
Or is it a matter of let's put a name behind your comments and let's see if you be as bold? What do you think?
I think that would do that would definitely change things. I think so.
Yeah, yeah, because
And I
you
think
the minute you gave your example, I was like, oh, she's not wrong, because
yeah.
that this student's reputation, I mean, wow,
Yeah.
wow, and
Be
you're
very
right.
careful.
We don't know who started it. We don't know you know. Wow. You are from Orlando, Chelsea,
Yeah.
and Georgia is a couple of states down from
Mhm.
Orlando.
Mhm.
Not Orlando, yeah, from Orlando, Florida. And you chose not to stay in Florida. In fact, you've got an interesting college selection journey because you went to Valencia College before
Mhm.
going to Spelman.
Yes.
And I'd like to know exactly how you made A, the transition, and
Mhm.
B, other than, listen, I was about to say, and why you chose Spelman. And the reason why I went to listen is I know any Spelmanite, be you current or alum,
Yeah.
watching this is going to be, where else was she going to choose? Of course she was going to choose Spelman because that's the energy, Chelsea. That's the
Oh,
energy.
what?
It sometimes it is. Most of the
What?
Spelmanites that I know are like, why would you choose anywhere but Spelman?
See, no. I proceed. I'm listening.
There we go.
I'm listening.
So how did you make your college selection?
mm, mm. It was well. There were probably like three factors. Um,
Okay.
but the first being that they accepted all of my college credits, all my transfer credits. So I got my associates. That'll play a large role. Yes, yes. But I got my associates in high school, so I was transferring 72 credits over to Spelman. Um,
Wow.
and they took them all. I said, I like that. I like that a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I had attended, I think it was, yeah, yeah, two factors. But then I had attended Spellbound, and that's less of an orientation and more so come on campus, talk to current students, talk to the administration, learn more about the school, and then you can decide yes or no whether or not you want to come. And I had gone there and just fell in love. It was like the campus, of course, and the vibes from there, but it was also just I think it was like I was in the courtyard and we were just all on the grass and there was just a bunch of like families dancing and barbecue and all this, and I was just looking around. I'm like, not only is it this community that I want to be a part of, but it's these women that are just thriving in literally every industry imaginable, like freaking science and technology and engineering and politics and like everything. And although I feel like coming from a high school where I was the star, I feel like I was so confident that it would mold me to figure out what makes me incredible outside of just being black and a woman. And you would think that Spelman would like do the opposite and kind of mold your identity around that. And it uplifts you in that regard. But instead, it kind of just, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like, yes, you are black. Yes, you're a woman. Yes, you are capable. That's why you're here. But what else? Because I think a lot of us coming from PWIs, that's what makes us stand out on top of qualifications like, being involved, etc. But then Spelman is just like, okay, you're here. What else? You got to figure it out.
I got silent because anyone who knows me in real life
Mm-hmm.
knows that I'm extremely competitive and not with anybody, just with myself.
Mm.
And when you said, okay, you're black, you're this, you're that, you're a woman, all of that, what else? I love that. I love the what else makes you stand out?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you now have to look into the individual, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
then
yes,
the individual has to come out. The framing, the polishing of the individual has to come out. And
yes.
that's what I'm hearing you say,
Mm-hmm.
that many people probably think of Spelman as this, we're going to uniformly make you a Spelmanite.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think everybody has the same type of X, whatever X
Mm-hmm.
is. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm hearing you say is, sure, it does that.
Mm-hmm.
But it also requires Chelsea to identify who Chelsea is.
Yes.
So as Chelsea is leaving Spelman, who is Chelsea?
Mm. Oh, these questions are so good. I was like, wow. Oh Lord, who is Chelsea? Chelsea is multi-hyphenate. Chelsea is a leader, a student leader. She's a strategist. She's an advocate. Um, she's a friend. She's a sister. Um, yeah, but mm, hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Oh gosh, that is something. That's something. Yeah, I would say I'm all of that in one human, just trying to learn and not trying, that who's just evolving. So yes, that's what I
So
would say.
Chelsea, I don't write most of my questions down.
Yes, it is. But I love that. I love that.
Most of my questions come from listening to you. And what I love about the answer that you gave, which wasn't a complete answer, let me be clear, wasn't a
Yes.
complete answer.
Right,
She's
yes.
like, yeah, I know.
Yes, yes.
But what I love about it is you didn't realize that you okay, let me back up. Let me back up. Let me tell you why I'm excited about this. So I did not know I was going to ask that question, right? And the reason why I did not know that I was going to ask that question is because it's something that you said that made me say, well, hold on. She told us that we have, all of us who did not go to Spelman, we have this image of what Spelman does in nurturing its students, but there's also this other thing that it does, and it's making the individual really seek out who that individual is. And I think for those who believe in the universe and for those who believe in God, I truly think that that question was waiting to be answered by you by the time you graduate. And what I mean by that
Mhm.
is you did not owe me, Tosin, the answer to that question right now, but you needed to hear that question said out loud so that by the time
Yes.
Chelsea's graduating, Chelsea will be able to say to herself, while I was here, even though I'm still evolving, this is the individual that is walking out of Spelman.
Oh wow.
If you get that answer and you feel like sharing it, please, please, please send it to me because I'd
Yeah.
really, really want to know that answer. But I think that
Yeah.
question wasn't really. I was just a vessel that was used to ask that question. That question wanted to be asked. So I want to hear
Absolutely.
the answer at some point in time.
Absolutely.
You are a multi-hyphenate, Chelsea. It is easy for somebody being Tosin, to
Mhm.
read your bio and want to put you in advocacy, as in
Mhm.
social impact advocacy.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's also easy for somebody to read that your bio and say, wait, hold on, no, she is a brand strategist. And then it's also easy for one to read your bio and say, no, it's not brand strategy alone, it is artist entity development and representation. You do a lot for a
Yes.
20-year-old, for somebody who just turned 20. um and we're going to get to playing by the rules in a hot second.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's fair. I was going to ask you which one do you love the most, and we're going to ask you that. I don't think that's a fair question. What I am going to ask you though is what fuels all those passions, because they're all different. Some of them are quite different things. What
Mhm.
fuels those passions?
What fuels those passions? Hmm. I was largely it's two things. It's kind of twofold. Um, I'd say like educating other people and educating myself. And then I think in this next season of my life, it's been really just refining and pursuing my purpose. And so like the first part of just being like educating myself and educating others, that's always been a passion of mine. Like I've loved hosting webinars, I've loved hosting seminars and workshops and masterclasses to just teach other people new information that I've learned, as it aligns with my passions. Like that's just always been something that I enjoy, and I think that's a common thread between everything that I host and everything that I lead. And I think the flip side to that is refining and pursuing my purpose. Because as I said, I am evolving. I'm only 20, and I recently saw this post where it was like, if you feel lost, or you just don't know where you are or what you're doing, those sorts of moments, you have to remember at least that like the first 10 years of your life, you're just a kid. Like you're just going, you're just a kid. You're just like you're not completely aware, but you're just learning things as you go. And then those next 10 years of your, or rather, let's just say like 5, 6, 7 years of your life, you're in high school and you're like figuring that out and you're a student. Or rather, yeah, next 10 years of your life, you're a student. And so like now at 20, looking forward, now I'm like starting my life. And so I can't really put that much pressure on myself to know everything, And so I saw that, I was like, okay, I needed that. But I say that to say, I think that's also what fuels me is just figuring out my purpose. And I know, I'm pretty sure, at least now, it's like maybe it will change because the works of the universe, how that works. But I'm pretty sure that my purpose on this earth is to help artists and creatives have ownership over their brands, because it happens too often that they're exploited and don't know the business side of their careers. And so that's really that's what motivates me in this season.
I love it. And that transitions quite perfectly
Oh,
into playing by the rules. Tell us about playing by the rules.
yes. Oh, well, um, oh my goodness. So I was a part of, I'll give you the little truncated version, but I was part of this program called Spellpreneur at Spelman. And just as the name suggests, it's an entrepreneurship kind of accelerator for students at Spelman. So you learn like the one-on-one on entrepreneurship, how to start your business, how to get through the ideation phase, how to protect your business with IP. And then at the conclusion of the program, there was like a networking dinner. And the person you're assigned to like works in the field or niche that your business is in, or your business
Right.
idea is in. And so the lady I was talking to is an IP attorney, intellectual property attorney.
Yes.
And she was like, Chelsea, so we were talking fast forward. But she was like, oh, I wish there was an event that like taught creatives, collegiate creatives how to protect themselves. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay. I was like, okay, cool. So I went home and I'm like researching. I'm like, has there anything like this ever existed? And the only thing I found was law schools hosting intellectual
Wow.
property symposiums. So like
Yeah.
Georgia State and Georgetown, all these different schools, but
Yeah.
no college. And I'm not talking like HBCU solely. Like no college in the U.S. had ever hosted one. And I was
Wow.
like, well, doggone it, Spelman's gonna be the first.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So so that came about. That first year was last year. We had the corporate baddie give opening remarks. He's an Instagram influencer and TikTok influencer. 3 panels to discuss IP in sports, entertainment, and entrepreneurship, and then
Nice.
a networking dinner. Um, and it was just incredible with a long list of sponsors. But yes, it was amazing,
Nice. Oh, that's
amazing.
amazing. That's A, that's amazing. B, what, and when I say what's next, I'm only saying what's next because you are graduating from Spelman
Yeah.
this year,
Mhm.
and you said that this is for college creatives, right?
Yes.
So I'm hoping with every finger that I can crossed that this continues
hmm
even though you're graduating. And do you
Yes.
know what that looks like yet? And is this going to invite collegians from all over the country
Yeah.
at some point? Because you're right, so many of our college students, HBCU and other,
hmm
are also doing creative work on the side.
Yes.
And they often don't think about protection of it until it reaches a certain level.
hmm
And it might be healthy, even if they still do that, to at least know what
hmm
they should be thinking about when that time comes.
hmm
So, what's next in the sense that as you graduate, what is happening to playing by the rules? And is there, and I'm not trying to put any pressure on you, Chelsea, I promise, but
No.
is there a world where this becomes a national
Ah,
symposium?
yes. 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 Absolutely. The biggest the biggest thing for me though is God giving me the green light, in all honesty.
Love
He
it.
I feel like it was divine order for me to meet that lady and for her to tell
Yes.
me that, for me to do my research and create it last year. And Before You Get Signed came about in the same way where it was like during winter break, I was just praying. I spoke about refining and pursuing my purpose. I was just praying. I'm like, God, I've been telling people because you'll get asked several times. It's about what are you doing? What do you want to do? What do you want to? And I'm like entertainment law. And I said, but God, like I'm saying that, but I'm not. At least in my eyes, I'm not doing anything that a lawyer would do. Like, yes, I have my
Mm, mm,
internships.
mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm,
one thing, but to
mm-hmm,
actually engage with artists one on
mm-hmm,
one. And he
mm-hmm.
was like, before you get signed. And I said, oh, okay. So that now that's what my focus is. So I say,
Beautiful.
yeah. So I say all that to say, like, absolutely, a national to take this to the national level would be a dream, but I don't want to do that prematurely. So I just want
Absolutely.
to like focus on the platform right now, and whenever the time comes for that to happen, I'll definitely make it happen.
So we definitely spoke about playing by the rules, and it seems as if playing by the rules somewhat birthed before you get signed.
Hmm.
So what is before you get signed?
Yes, so that is my, I don't know what to call it. Like the content creation platform or Instagram. So, yeah.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
But it's the platform that I have on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
where I talk about the terms within a contract that artists should look out for in order to um, protect themselves. So, or the terms of their contract, the types of contracts that are harmful, and then connecting
Mm.
current events and kind of making it into a lesson for artists. So, for instance, Kanye West, I think that name alone can can, can put spark a little something in your head. But the video that I'll post today actually is about that. Just like kind of taking an analysis of his career and saying this is what he did wrong with his contracts, like posting it on Twitter. Sir, let's like no, it's no. So just certain things, terms, types of contracts, and then just tying current events into lessons for creatives to understand.
And I promise you, in a year,
Mhm.
before you get signed, is going to be a platform that everybody knows about nationally who wants to get into those spaces. I'm noticing a theme about you, Chelsea. You were not wrong earlier on when you said that even as early as high school, whatever you find out and you know, you have it on your heart to make sure everybody else knows. So I don't care if it's playing by the rules. I don't care if it's before you get signed. I don't care if it's mental breakdown. You are somebody that wants to make sure people are educated enough in the things that matter. And I appreciate that about
Oh
you.
wow, thank
Chelsea, you could have gone anywhere, but I have a very strong feeling that being at Spelman helped create this version of you that I get lucky enough to speak to today. To your freshman self,
you. Mm.
and as you know, there's a whole core of students that will be enrolling at Spelman soon enough
Mm-hmm.
this year and thinking about it now. What would you tell them? And I'm saying what would you tell them as having you speak to freshman Chelsea. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
About Spelman, specifically about Spelman.
Okay. Um, I actually just had a conversation with my spell baby about this today, but I would say imposter syndrome is a choice. I would say, I'd say imposter syndrome is a choice. I'm telling you, like it all starts in your head. It starts in your head. It starts in your head. And I'll just elaborate on that and stop repeating myself like Dr. Umar. But, like, but I love when he does it though. Like it sticks. But um yes, I say that to say like once that clicked in my head along my own journey where it was like I can either be victimizing myself and look at my sisters and say, "Oh my," because I'm telling you, to be surrounded by Spelman women is to learn about a new fellowship, internship, or opportunity every day. So
Wow.
when you can either look at one of your sisters and say, "Okay, she got this Yale fellowship," and compare yourself and be like, victimize yourself. Oh, I didn't get that opportunity. Or you can look at your sister and you can say, she got that opportunity. I want that opportunity. I'm going to ask her how she got that opportunity and get it myself. You know what I'm saying? So once that clicked, I was like, oh, okay. Like it just opens your mind because it's like I don't have to be victimizing myself. Like if I want that opportunity, I'm going to make it happen. And I think the best example that I can give is just the Spelman on the Hill program. And just as the name suggests, they take you to DC and basically be a delegate for a topic that your group decides on. And so you're networking with like not only well you're networking with your state senators and as well as like other senators from other states. But it's very, very prestigious. Like out of at least 600 applicants, they choose, I want to say 25.
Mm,
So
mm.
it's very, very competitive. And so I knew before coming to Spelman, I was like, I want that because they had gone live on Spelman Instagram. I was like, I want that. But I had reached out to girls I found on LinkedIn who were part of the program before. And I was like, I need you to look at my essay. I need you to tell me what to expect. Like,
Wow.
walk me through the interview process. And then I got it. So that's just a prime example of like, I could have stayed reserved and just stayed in that mindset of comparison, but you have to get out of that mindset. It's a choice. That's all.
Chelsea, I wish we had at least 2 more hours.
Yes.
But I think it would be entirely selfish of me to eat up all of your time. You are brilliant. You're amazing.
Thank you.
And I desperately hope that every single student, especially, I know more students need to hear what you have to say, don't get me wrong, but I desperately wish that every single student who hears what you have to say on this podcast takes it to heart.
Mm-hmm.
You've said so many different things, in some respect about talking about you, but in other respect just about reflection, that I really want them to take to heart because I think it would help them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to add anything really to your statement that imposter syndrome is a choice. I really, really hope they take that to heart.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything? I'm sure there is. I can't say, is there anything? Because I just said I wish we still had 2 more hours. So I know for a fact that there is something that you're like, Tosin should have asked me this.
Oh, you
Or
did so
Tosin should have brought this
amazing.
up.
Oh my gosh. I was like on the verge. I said, don't cry. Stop
Don't you
it.
listen? We would
Stop
have
it.
cried together. We would have
Oh.
cried together because I cry a
Ah.
lot and very easily. But please leave our audiences something that I did not bring up that you'd love to make sure they know, perhaps about you, perhaps about the work that you're doing, perhaps just some beautiful phrase that they can keep in mind. Because when I tell you, listen, we might have to do this together. Put imposter syndrome as a choice on a t-shirt and sell it.
Yes. Yes.
I'm so not kidding, Chelsea, because
Yes.
that is a word. That is a
Mm-hmm.
word. Okay. But is there something else that you want to leave the audience with before we close out?
That was
That was it?
imposter syndrome was my wait, okay. Because you said no time restrictions. So I'm like, I want to bring up this book, but I'm like, well, no. Well, okay. Guys, my my the second annual Playing by the Rules Symposium is on April 22nd. So if
Beautiful.
you are in Atlanta around that time, definitely stop by. It's it's on Spelman's campus. More details will be released soon. But you can definitely follow my Instagram at the Creatives Esquire to learn more. But yes.
And please don't forget to follow her also on play not play, before you get signed. I keep going back to playing by the rules.
No, it's
Before
okay.
you get signed.
Yes,
Please
yes.
don't forget to follow her on Before You Get Signed. I want you to close us out, Chelsea. One word or short phrase on why you, Chelsea Mendes, loves HBCUs.
I love HBCUs because they are ours. During this time, it's spaces for us are rare to come by. Spaces that are genuinely made for us to cultivate our talents and our expertise and our wants and our desires. And so to have HBCUs that were established literally to fulfill that sort of purpose is beautiful. And I'm especially grateful for Spelman. Of course, my parents come first. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, college. I'm sorry. But my parents definitely have got me to this point. But for Spelman to, as I mentioned, really have me do the inner work when it came to figuring out what makes me an incredible woman outside of being Black, and in all honesty, it was just the most valuable thing that I could have ever received. And so, yes.
It is impossible for anybody to hear the sound of Chelsea's voice or see her on the screen and not go ahead and like this episode. I truly hope that I have done justice in my conversation with Chelsea to get you to subscribe to I Love My HBCU wherever you get your podcasts and definitely on YouTube. Chelsea, it has been absolutely amazing having this conversation with you. Yours an HBCU love. Everyone, see you next episode. You've been listening to I Love My HBCU ? Let's keep the conversation going as we share our stories and encourage more practical support of HBCUs, whilst of course holding each other accountable. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for the latest episodes. Until next time, love and lift your HBCU.